Hello, today we're going to be going over behavioral learning theories. The first theory that we're going to be going over is the cognitive development theory. This theory is about how children model the world around them and learn through their environment. This process is natural and is formed due to naturally growing older and interacting with the world around you. The psychologist that helped develop this theory is Piaget. He worked on a study known as genetic epistemology, the origin of thinking. This study is finding out where things come from and is concerned with the basic categories of thinking, which is the framework of intelligence. Piaget used his research so that he could find out how children learn and did not use this research to grade children on how they could spell, count, or solve problems. Piaget differed from other psychologists in that he only concerned his research with child learners instead of all learners. He also focused on the development of the children rather than the actual information they are learning or specific behaviors. His research processed the different stages of development that children go through and how the children develop these processes rather than just the information and complexity of that information as time went on. Schemas are known as the building blocks of knowledge. They are a way to organize knowledge. Basically, think of index cards used as flashcards within the brain. Each one of these flashcards holds information on how to react to all information coming into the brain. What was found is that children reach a state of equilibrium when existing schemas are able to explain what is being processed. This is also known as a state of cognitive balance. Piaget believed that newborns have a small number of innate schemas. These are innate reflexes that all babies have and are genetically programmed into humans before they are born. Piaget found that his research can be applied to how young children learn through three adaptations of his work: assimilation, accommodation, and equilibration. Assimilation is when the child uses an existing schema to deal with a new object or situation they find themselves in. Accommodation is when the existing schema cannot deal with the new information and must be changed. Where equilibration is the force that moves development theory along. This explains why cognitive learning does not increase at a steady rate, but changes in random leaps and bounds. This also comes with disequilibrium, which occurs when the child's schemas cannot be used to process the new information and new ones must be built. Through his research, Piaget also found that there are 4 stages within the cognitive development of children. So these are sensory motor, pre-operational, concrete operational, and formal operational stages. Sensory motor stage is from birth to about 2 years of age. The main process learned at this stage is object permanence. Basically the knowledge that the object still exists even when hidden from view. The pre-operational stage is from age 2 to about 7. This stage is when children learn and begin to think symbolically. This is where you learn how to make something, like a word or object, become real. This stage of thinking is also egocentric, and the infant has a hard time receiving the viewpoints of others. Basically, terrible twos. The concrete operational stage is from age 7 to about 11. This stage marks the beginning of operational thought. This is when children are able to work the problem out in their heads and see the consequences rather than learning by doing or acting out in the physical world. Formal operational stage is from 11 to adulthood. This stage is when the children learn how to develop the ability to think abstractly and logically test out their own hypotheses. Discovery learning is how children learn best by doing and actively exploring the world. rather than just being in school learning from texts. So the main takeaways to take from cognitive learning theory is to focus on the process of learning rather than the end product, use active models that require rediscovery or reconstruct the truth, use collaborative as well as individual activities so children can learn from one another, devise situations that create disequilibrium in the child for them to solve the problem, constantly evaluate the level of the child's development so new and more challenging tasks can be set. Now, the next theory to discuss is sociocultural theory. This is also known as the zone of proximal development, or ZPD. This theory is defined as the distance between the actual development by independent problem solving and the level of potential development gained through adult guidance or in collaborative setting. The psychologist that helped develop this theory is Vygotsky. He was able to view that interactions with peers was an effective way to develop skills and strategies. He suggested that teachers use cooperative learning exercises where students who are struggling were paired with students who are not struggling. He believed that when a student is within the ZPD for a specific task, providing assistance to that student will boost them to achieve the task. So another term for ZPD is scaffolding. This line of thinking is designed so that once the student has gained the knowledge necessary through assistance, the scaffolding, it can then be taken away and the student will be able to accomplish the task on their own. This is effectively how, like, when buildings are made, you put the scaffolding up, build the building, take the scaffolding away, and the building still stands. So effective scaffolding can be achieved through the following. Gaining and maintaining the learner's interest in the task, making the task simple, emphasizing certain aspects that will help the solution, control the child's level of frustration, and demonstrate the task. So Vygotsky found that in his research there is a line of linear regression when applying his methods to teaching. This is the effect that shows learners know the information better than when learning on their own, but still less than when they were being assisted by a more knowledgeable other. More knowledgeable other is simply assistance from someone like a teacher or coach helping the learner learn the task at hand. Vygotsky also found that cultural tools help the learner as well. These are tools offered by the culture around the student. Example of these tools are teachers, television, books, and YouTube. The educational application of this research is that it is the teacher's role to mediate the child's learning as they share knowledge through social interactions. This is done through the following ways. Assess the learner's current knowledge and experience for the academic content. Relate the content to what students already understand or can do. Break a task into smaller tasks with opportunities for feedback. Use verbal cues and prompts to assist students. Another application is done through reciprocal teaching and collaborative learning. Reciprocal teaching is used to improve the student's ability to learn from text. The goal of this style is to lessen the teacher's role over time by strengthening four key skills: summarizing, questioning, clarifying, and predicting. Whereas collaborative learning is when group members should have different levels of abilities so that more advanced peers can help those not so advanced peers operate within the ZPD. Thank you, and goodbye.